Hi everyone, so today we're going to be doing a bit of an analysis video on the top 5 most vulnerable Republican senators, or not really the top 5, but just in general how some of the more vulnerable Republican senators their races might play out. So on my current 2020 Senate prediction, I have 50 Republicans and 49 Democrats. Republicans make gains in the state of Alabama, and Democrats make gains in the states of Arizona, Colorado, and North Carolina. So we're just going to be going through some of the more vulnerable Republican senators this time through. So starting off, the most vulnerable senator for the Republicans, far and away, is in the state of Colorado. Cory Gardner was elected to the Senate in the GOP wave of 2014, knocking out Democratic incumbent Senator Mark Udall, who used to be the senator from Colorado in that seat. And so Mr. Gardner up for re-election in 2020. It's really not looking too good for him. I wouldn't be surprised if he chooses not to run. Sorry about that. So sorry about that. I wouldn't be surprised if Cory Gardner ran. In fact, given how he could probably see that he wouldn't do too well in a competitive general election. There's been some rumors that there are many Democrats who could run, including the current Colorado governor, John Hickenlooper. I believe some other statewide figures are considering a run for the Senate to take down Mr. Gardner in that seat. So Cory Gardner, I put this as a likely Democratic seat. We just saw Democrats have a very successful year in Colorado in 2018 and also in 2016, where we saw in both of those years the Democrats doing quite well. In 2016, they won the presidential race in the state of Colorado. I believe they also won a Senate race in Colorado that year in 2016, and then in 2018 we saw them do very well, picking up or holding on to a governor's seat by over 10 points, and we also saw them pick up a House seat in the Denver suburbs. So Democrats doing very well in Colorado. I see Mr. Gardner going down in the state of Colorado, and that goes into the likely Democratic column. The second most vulnerable seat for the Republicans I see being the state of Arizona. So Arizona, we saw that Martha McSally is now in this seat. This might confuse some people, as Ms. McSally actually lost a Senate race to Kyrsten Sinema, and Kyrsten Sinema is in the Class 1 Senate seat. I believe this is Class 2, but don't quote me on that. It might not be, but anyway. But then the late John McCain passed away, so then John Kyle took his seat, and then he's now resigned at the end of this year. And so the governor appointed Martha McSally to fill his seat until 2020. It's going to be interesting to see how the Arizona Senate race plays out. But we just saw a recent poll coming out showing that many people would prefer to see a new face instead of McSally in that Senate seat. Underwater in her approval ratings as well. Let me just real quick. Okay, so here we go, America's most and least popular senators. So we're going to need to go round to here into Arizona. John Kyle still in this one in the Q4 of 2018. Unfortunately, we don't have much recent polling to show otherwise. But if we take a look at Kirsten Sinema, let's see. Oh, Jeff Flake also still here in the Q4 of 2018. So it's disappointing that they haven't released the new rankings, I guess. Yes. So yeah. So unfortunately, I just looked up. There are no good polls of Martha McSally's approval rating, but I do remember a poll that had many people saying that they want McSally out. So I see Martha McSally being the second most vulnerable Republican senator. Now, the third most vulnerable Republican senator I see being Tom Tillis in the state of North Carolina. And if we go ahead and look at his approval rating in the Q4 of 2018, North Carolina, Tom Tillis, 36% approval, 32% disapproval. That's quite low name recognition. I must say that that's quite low for a senator, having almost a third of your constituents not know who you are. Again, this polling may show that, oh look, he's above water, but it's not looking too good for Tillis in North Carolina. I see Tom Tillis being the third most vulnerable Republican senator. The fourth most vulnerable Republican senator I see being Joni Ernst in the state of Iowa. I have this one in the pure toss-up column. This one's interesting because, I mean, Democrats, they won 2 House seats and almost they got very close to winning all 4 House seats, but they actually won 3 out of the 4. The Republican there, Steve King, who's been under fire recently about some past racial comments. Excuse me. But yes, so Democrats winning 3 out of the 4 congressional seats. Surprisingly, Republicans actually held on to the governor's seat narrowly. So that was interesting to see play out. But at the end of the day, given Democrats' success in Iowa, I see them narrowly keeping that seat. If we go ahead and look at Joni Ernst's approval rating, not the best, 40% approval, 37% disapproval. They also have one for Trump. Trump approval in all 50 states. In the state-by-state, I guess, thing, we can see that in the state of Iowa, he's underwater by 10, and that's net change of 19 points, which is not great, to say the least. If we go ahead, from the very beginning of his term, he was very popular. Then just take a look at Iowa. It started to get a bit unfavorable towards him in December of 2017. It went a bit better for him in February 2018, but then it's kind of gotten worse in the past month. In the past few months, I should say. So again, Joni Ernst not looking like the best thing for her, trying to hold on to her seat in Iowa. So that would be the 4th most vulnerable Republican. The 5th most vulnerable Republican senator I see being Suzanne Collins in the state of Maine, followed by David Perdue in the state of Georgia, followed by John Cornyn in the state of Texas, those being all the leaning Republican states in that order. And then after that, it would be Alabama. Alabama's Democratic seat. After that, it would be Kentucky with Mitch McConnell, Montana with Steve Daines, and Kansas with Pat Roberts. And then out of the safe states, you would be probably looking at something like a West Virginia and South Carolina and Mississippi being the most competitive, along with states like Louisiana, which could have a runoff. I'm not going to go through all of them because that's pretty kind of boring. Yes, so in this order: Colorado with Gardner, Arizona with McSally, North Carolina with Tillis, Iowa with Ernst, and Maine with Collins, and then going into Georgia with Perdue, and then Cornyn in Texas, McConnell in Kentucky, Daines in Montana, and Roberts in Kansas, who isn't running. And then there's a variety of states that would be more competitive than others in the safe column. And tomorrow I'm going to come out with a video doing the same thing on the Democratic side. It would be kind of obvious that Alabama is the Democrats' kind of most vulnerable seat, of course, but I'm going to go through where I put the rest of the states in the next video. Thank you guys for watching this video. Comment down your suggestions below, and I'll see you all in the next one.